I clawed my way out of addiction, won back my kids, and built a life from the wreckage of my father's death. But now I'm sitting in a dental school chair, watching a student pull my last front tooth with Forceps because, after 3.5 years of doing everything right, I still can't afford to smile for a single photograph.
I was born into a war I didn't start. My parents were addicts before I learned to walk. They divorced when I was a toddler, and custody was less about who loved me and more about who had a car that ran. By 14, I was drinking from their bottles. By 16, I was face-planting an ATV on a gravel road, drunk enough to think a four-wheeler could take flight. I woke up with my front teeth shattered against the handlebars, my mouth full of blood and grit. I never went to a dentist. Too poor, too ashamed. I just learned to smile with my lips pressed together, like I was holding a secret that would kill me if it got out. That secret became my fuel. For 2 decades, I poured alcohol over the broken pieces of my face and called it survival. In 2014, I found my dad on his bedroom floor. He'd been dead for hours, his skin already that waxy yellow I'd seen in hospital hallways. I stood in the doorway and felt nothing because the only thing he ever taught me was how to disappear into a bottle. I didn't wake up that day. I spiraled deeper. I lost my marriage. I lost my daughters. I survived 8 hospitalizations for acute pancreatitis. Each time a doctor telling me my pancreas was trying to digest itself. Each time me signing myself out early because the shakes in the parking lot were louder than the warning. But then something changed. September of 2022. A gastroenterologist with tired eyes pulled a clipboard off the wall and drew a line on a piece of paper. He said, "This is your life expectancy if you continue." The line ended at 40. I was 35. He didn't say it with cruelty. He said it like he was reading a weather report. I sat there and my mind went to my girls, Gracie, Lily, and the newborn I barely knew, Ellie. I saw my father's face on his bedroom floor, and I realized I was about to do the exact same thing to them. I was about to leave them with a memory of a man who chose poison over them. I decided right then that the cycle stopped with me. Getting sober didn't feel like victory. It felt like walking into a fire and refusing to scream. I moved into an Oxford house with 12 other men who smelled like desperation and cheap cologne. We had a chore chart. We had curfew. I was 35 years old, scrubbing toilets in a halfway house, learning how to be a person again. I got into the union apprenticeship for electricians. I showed up every day with my hands shaking and my boots worn through, and I let the work burn the poison out of my veins. I spent over $10,000 on lawyers to win back joint custody of my girls. Every penny I earned from the apprenticeship overtime shift, every side job went into legal fees. I stopped buying food for myself some weeks. I remember sitting in a family court waiting room with a peanut butter sandwich in my pocket and watching the clock, thinking if I lose them, I lose the only reason I'm alive. But then something changed again. The judge signed the order. Joint custody. Every weekend, my girls come to my apartment. Gracie is 8 now, with a laugh that fills the whole room. Lily is 6, and she still asks me to carry her to bed. Ellie is a baby, and when I hold her, I feel the weight of what I almost threw away. I am the stable, sober dad they deserve. I made it. I crawled out of the grave my father dug for me. But here's the part I never see in the success stories. Being a success story is incredibly expensive, and it's humbling in a way that makes you want to disappear. Because I put every dime into getting my kids back, I have nothing left. No savings, no credit, no safety net, and the years of neglect, decades of drinking, the shattered teeth I never fixed, the malnutrition, the pancreatitis finally caught up to me. My mouth is a ruin. The teeth I broke at 16 have been rotting for 22 years. The infections have spread. My last molar is cracked down the middle, and the front ones are black at the gums. I'm now in the process of having them all pulled. The front teeth, that last molar, all of it. I went to a dental school because it's all I can afford. $50 for an extraction, a student with shaky hands, and a supervisor who watches over her shoulder. I sat in that chair last week, and she numbed my upper jaw, and I stared at the ceiling tiles while she worked a pair of forceps under my gum line. The sound was like breaking dry branches. I kept my eyes open because I wanted to remember it. I wanted to remember the price of starting over. After it was done, I looked in the mirror. My mouth was a bloody hole. I ran my tongue over the empty spaces and felt nothing but bone. Once these teeth are gone, I'll have nothing left to bite or chew with. I'll be a 38-year-old man with a union card, a father of 3, and no way to eat an apple in front of my kids. I desperately need partial dentures just to be functional again to smile, to take a photograph without instinctively covering my mouth. But the cost feels like a mountain. I can't climb on an apprentice wage while supporting a family. The dental school quoted me $3,000 for the partials. That's more than I make in a month after child support and rent. It is incredibly embarrassing to be a grown man who can't afford his own smile. I have stood on job sites with journeymen who respect my work, and I've had to turn my head when I talk so they don't see the gaps. I have taken my girls to the park and watched other dads laugh with their teeth showing, and I have smiled with my lips pressed together just like I did at 16, just like I did for 20 years of drinking, just like I did when I was hiding the shame. I thought when I got sober, the shame would go. I thought when I got my kids back, I'd finally look in the mirror and see a man worthy of them. But then something happened that I didn't expect. After the first extraction, I came home and stood in front of the bathroom mirror. I opened my mouth. The student had done a clean job. The gum was already closing. A pink ridge where a tooth used to be. I waited for the relief. I waited for the feeling of one more scar being removed. Instead, I saw the reflection of the drunk kid who crashed the ATV. I saw the man who found his father dead and couldn't cry. I saw the addict who chose alcohol over his own daughters. The teeth were the last physical evidence of who I used to be. And they're being pulled not because I relapsed, not because I gave up, but because I spent everything I had on being a father. I traded my smile for my children, and now I'm sitting here 3.5 years sober, and the bill is finally due. I have no idea how I'm going to pay for dentures. I have no idea how I'm going to look my girls in the eye at family gatherings and explain why I can't eat the food they made, or why I turn away from the camera when Ellie takes her first steps. But I'm not going back. I can't. Sometimes the weight of the past feels like it's trying to pull me under again. I wake up at 3 in the morning with my jaw aching and my mind replaying every mistake, and I think, this is what you deserve. This is the natural consequence, and maybe that's true. Maybe the broken teeth and the empty wallet and the shame of asking for help are all just the final installments on a debt I incurred when I was too young to know any better. But then I hear Gracie's laugh from the other room, and I remember that I didn't crawl out of the grave just to lie down in it. I'm grinding every day to be a better man. I'm showing up to work. I'm taking care of my girls. I'm staying sober one day at a time. The dental school said I can come back in 3 months to start the partial denture process if I can save up the money. $3,000. That's what separates me from being able to look my daughters in the eye without hiding. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed to get this off my chest. Because the truth is, starting over at 35 was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I'm still not done paying for it. I'm a sober father. I'm an apprentice electrician. I'm a man who broke the cycle. And I'm sitting here with a mouth full of holes, waiting to see if the world will let me finish becoming the person I fought so hard to be. Hello, I'm Dr. Julian Reed. The antagonist in this story is not a persona, it is a system that performs redemption as theater while quietly enforcing the sentence of the past. What we see here is a textbook case of moral injury, the deep psychological wound that occurs when a person does everything required of them for atonement, only to discover that the society demanding that atonement has no intention of letting them fully return. This man was handed addiction as an inheritance. His parents, his environment, his access to Cariel were rigged against him before he could form a coherent identity. Yet he internalized the shame as if it were purely personal failure. That is the first betrayal, a system that allows children to be born into generational trauma and then blames them for carrying it. He then performed the ritual of recovery exactly as prescribed sobriety. Structured housing, employment, legal restitution, family reunification. He sacrificed every financial resource to reclaim his daughters, and at the moment he stands whole in every measurable way. The system that demanded his transformation denies him the final, symbolic tool of reintegration, a functional smile. The teeth, the most visible marker of the addict he was, are extracted not because he failed, but because he succeeded. He spent his redemption fund on being a father, and now the bill for his past is being collected from his body. Psychologically, this creates a state of learned hopelessness masked by grit. He tells himself he deserves the pain. That is the internalized voice of a culture that conflates suffering with virtue. But the clinical truth is that his shame is no longer his. It has been transferred to a society that applauds his recovery in headlines while leaving him to sit in a dental school chair, unable to afford the basic dignity of a photograph with his children. What he is experiencing is not relapse. It is the slow realization that the redemption narrative we sell is a trap. You can escape the grave of addiction, but you will carry the physical proof of your past forever, because the structures that helped create your addiction will not help you bury it. The moral ambiguity here is deliberate. We are meant to ask if a man does everything right, gets sober, wins custody, holds a job, does he deserve to have his face restored? Or is that continued suffering the natural consequence he must accept as penance? But I would reframe the question: when we demand that people rebuild themselves from ruins, are we obligated to provide the tools for that rebuilding? Or are we simply spectators who enjoy watching the struggle more than the completion?